Hi guys, welcome to my podcast. My name is Toby. Today we're going to be talking about death again. We're going to be talking about death. Yes, last week I talked about death and especially my perception on death and how personal take on death, stuff like that. But this week we're looking at people's death that have affected me, because I'm still going to quote Keanu Reeves that said that what happens when we die is that those who love us are going to miss us. I'm going to talk about like people that have died, that their deaths have affected me. Yeah, that's the best way to put it. I really feel this is a topic people should be more comfortable talking about, because death is inevitable. No matter how many God forbids and blood of Jesus you say, last, you're all going to die. I mentioned sometime in my January episode that I lost somebody, and an uncle actually. So while people were reaching out, they would be like, I think my mom got more of the calls too, because it was my mom's brother, and friends would call to sympathize, and they'll be like, "Oh, we're sorry for your loss. Don't worry. Your family, you people will not see any loss again. It's never going to happen again," and all that, blah blah blah, stuff like that. In my mind, I'm like, why are you lying? Like, why are you people lying to yourself? Death is inevitable and it's still going to happen again. Someone else is still going to die in our family. Our family is not special. Why it is not something we hope for or pray for, but it is also not something we should deny that is going to happen, because it happens. And it's something we should come to terms with. One time in my school group chats, something like that, school group chats, department group chat. So I think there were about 2 announcements of like burial for people's parents and stuff, and finally somebody put out a wedding invite, and somebody commented, "Oh, thank God, finally a good news. It's not the time like bad, the story of death, that in fact we should pray for that. Let's all do prayer session or something for our parents so that we won't keep losing people." Like, just stop. Why are you people deceiving? After, do prayer, don't do prayer, they will still die. And it doesn't even help matters that life expectancy in Nigeria is 53 years. So if you have a parent over 53 years old, they've passed the life expectancy in Nigeria. So I think you should be preparing your mind somewhere at the back of your mind that you're going to lose these people anytime from now. If they live longer than that, good for you. If they do not, I think, really, in as much as it's going to be painful, and no matter how much prep you think you would do, like when it finally happens, it's still going to hit hard and be painful. But I still think it's also wise not to like live in denial and like be like, hey, this thing's going to happen, that kind of thing. Yeah. So I remember when I lost my uncle, my little cousin. I went to their house and it's like, "Oh, Toby, this person like just left," and I'm like, "Yes, did you go for the burial?" I'm like, "No, I couldn't make it for the burial." And he's like, "Oh, we've lost that person, and now we're losing this person again. Who is next?" I'm like, "Stop." Please stop. And he was just a child, but I think the child had a better reasoning than adults that were trying to live in denial. Oh, it's not going to happen again. Why are people deceiving? I mean, he only put two and two together. I mean, so it's something that people leave, to get to a point to hear, oh, this person has gone or died, stuff like that. So, I mean, should he expect any other person? Maybe he should. So maybe he should ask too. The first death that actually affected me was my grandmother's death. I was so fond of my grandma. I loved her a lot. We shared a lot in common. I know when people start getting old, I mean, they start like behaving like kids and all that. So I felt me and my grandma were at the same level, and stuff like that. We call her Mama Otocha. She used to be Carosa. Not she used to, I mean, her name was Carosa, yeah. And when she was young, she did stuff. Like, she was a kind of activist at a point, like women's rights activist and stuff. She would do women empowerment things. She owned a dancing school. She owned a sewing school or fashion school or stuff. Like, she did great stuff, And she was very popular. But then when I knew her, she didn't do all these things anymore. She was just my Mama Otocha. At the point she couldn't walk, so she would always need the support of a walking stick and stuff. And the only thing she did all day was like stay at home and read books. And I loved books too as a child, so it was a connect. She would always disturb us. She can't move, she can't stand on her own. So we had like two drawers of filled with books in our house. So she'll call us, me and my sister, Toby, go get me a book to read. You go and get that one book. She'll look at it. I've read this one, get me another one. You get another book. She'll be like, I've read this one, get me another one. It could be frustrating at times. And my sister wasn't having it. My sister was frustrated that every time my mom would be saying, I've read this one, that she does not know any other book to bring and stuff. But I kind of didn't feel as frustrated as my sister. I actually loved the exercise of Mama telling me bring another one. I felt like it like connected us in some way, And even like times fun memories where she would say we should come and pull her up from the seat she's sitting on, because I mean she can't stand by herself. We will now like try to drag her up. And our baby strength will fail us, so like she'll fall back on the seat and just start laughing at herself, and it was like so heartwarming to watch. She taught me my first lesson on failure, that when you attempt something and you fail and you fall back, laugh at yourself, because it's not that deep. Life is not that serious. When you are able to laugh at yourself, you're able to pick yourself back up, but when like you start feeling loath and hate for yourself, I am feeling worthless, I can't even do anything, you're not going to make progress, stuff like that. I learned that lesson from her unconsciously by like watching her do those things. December 16, 2011, Mama Otocha dies. And I remember it was in the morning. She was in between hospitals anyway. And she was in the hospital. She died in the hospital. So my mom actually left early in the morning. I think she got a call that her mom had died. So she went early in the morning to like maybe put her in the mortuary or something. Then came back to the house. And see how she announced the death. That she called all of us together, me, my sister, my brother, our house helps then and stuff. And she was like, everybody, I want to say something. Mama Otocha just died, but nobody should cry. That last statement, but nobody should cry, was a threat. Like, don't dare cry. I'm like, what is happening here? What the actual F is happening here? And she goes, then she remember now my schools have vacated like more than a week ago or something. So my brother actually came out first in class. He was in nursery school. Like, what is nursery school the first? What? So my mom goes, oh, your grandmother has died. Nobody should cry. But then I remember your brother graduated from school when vacated school last week, and he came out first, so we should go and buy malt and everybody should celebrate that my brother came out first in class. It wasn't making sense. Yo, somebody came out first last week. You people aired him, ignored him, like, maybe you're in nursery, it's normal first used to take, forget it. And then somebody dies, you threaten us not to cry, and now remember that we should celebrate. I was not having it. So my mom dressed up and went to work like somebody that her mom literally just died. She just put her mother in the mortuary. She dressed up and went to work because it was a work day and she needed to be present at work. Man, like, my mom's strength, I cannot even like begin to imagine how strong that woman is, so what I do after my mom leaves the house was I go to my mom's room, I lock the door and started crying. I started shedding tears, like I let it flow. I was crying. I missed my grandma. Yes, I totally missed her. I was crying, like I could not believe she was gone. I did not know, it was not intentional. So like something that just started flowing, I couldn't control it. So one of our house girls knocked on the door that, hey Toby. I'm like, what is it? She's like, come and take your malt. I'm like, if I slap you. Like, wait, you bought into that malt nonsense. My grandmother just died, that should come and drink malt to celebrate the nursery. 3 boys that I'm like, please leave me alone, let me cry in peace. So I stayed there, I cry for a while. And then when I was done crying, I cleaned my eyes and regretted why I cried. Let me tell you people why I regretted why I cried, because I felt I was weak, that my mom is a strong woman. She's even the owner of the mother girl. Me is just grandmother that she is to me, and I was there wailing. Meanwhile, the owner of the mother cuckoo dressed up and went to work, and I felt I was not strong enough. I felt I could not be like my mom, and I felt ashamed of myself actually crying when my mom said I shouldn't cry, even though I missed my grandma. So I cleaned my tears and said, never again, I will not cry. So that's how, after that, I told myself I was not going to cry again, that I was going to be as strong as my mom. On my Motocha's burial, I remember what happened. When it was time for the family to pour, members were to pour sand into the grave. I managed to stay strong even when maybe people were crying and stuff. I was strong, like for the whole maybe mass and all that, until that point when it was time to pour the sand. I knew that I cannot hold it, like tears were going to drop. But I'd already promised myself that I was not going to cry again, because I do not want to seem weak anymore. So I look up. So the person beside me was my dad. I now looked up at him and said, Daddy, that my leg is paining me. I've been standing for a long while, that I need to go sit down somewhere. He's like, oh, go inside the house, go upstairs, go sit down. And I go upstairs. So as I left the scene of that point, the tears went back. So I'm like, yes, I'm strong. I did not cry. My leg was not paining me anything. No, I just didn't want to cry and stuff. Looking back, I wish I did not do that. I wish I let my tears flow. At least now I've known that I am a sign of weakness. That tears and crying are not a sign of weakness, and it's okay to like show your emotions and cry sometimes. So since after Mamotocha's death, I've not really known how to react to death anymore. I told myself I was not going to cry, but then I do not know how to react to death. Sometimes I just stay there like I'm shocked, but after the shock I'm like, yo, whatever. I do not know how to like feel, or maybe I've not missed somebody, a dead person, the way I missed my motocha. I'll just put it like that for now. And I'm just like trying to figure myself out now. I've like maybe lost people or heard, oh, this person died, and I'm like just there looking. I do not know how to say or reach out and be like, hey, I take heart, condolences, and I do not know how to react to people dying, really. Just put it like that. Yeah, I should probably end this podcast now. I'll come back later with another episode of the podcast.